Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. John Michael Salvato, your organic living and peak performance coach. It is actually just about 6 days after my two massive heart attacks, and the stents implanted seem to be doing very well. I actually feel so much better today. Of course, we do have to go back in for more surgery on the other side of my heart in about a month's time. So uh, that will mean another couple of days of recovery. But thanks for all of your patience. Thanks for hanging in there with me. And today's the idea behind today's topic, the idea behind the mind shift, as many of you know, on our daily program, we talk about making a single mind shift, a single change in something that we think or something that we do that can make all of the difference in the world in all other aspects of our lives. And today, I thought it was appropriate to talk about the idea of living like you were dying. And so many times we've been told that in those hours or weeks or months of a person who finds out that they're terminally ill, some of the most genius ideas come to pass. And I like to think about and actually blogged about the story of a local guy, Gary or Larry Hogan, who's the governor of Maryland. And 90 days after Larry Hogan became the governor, he walked into some of the worst, most violent riots that the city of Baltimore ever had. Actually, that was, I think, the worst violence that Maryland had seen in 47 or 48 years. And then less than 2 months after that, doctors told him that he had metastatic non-Hodgkin lymphoma. And I was really impressed by some of the press conferences that we saw on local TV, and I tried to track him down. Last night it was unsuccessful, where he just really poured his heart out, and he's never let his duties to the people of Maryland. He never let his responsibilities to his family, his loved ones, or his health suffer. And he continues to serve as the governor today. He just recently did a press release and said he would never support the Orange Menace in his bid for the presidency. And I could really relate to that in a powerful way. Not just that I could never support the Orange Menace either, but that after 33 years of living with full-blown AIDS with double-digit T cells, about 20 years of living with young onset Parkinson's, I was no stranger to the idea of living like I was dying, I thought. But the truth was that I'd actually developed skills, some coping mechanisms, some lifestyle skills, medical interventions, dietary skills, and mostly mindset skills that minimized the idea of dying. So the concept of dying hasn't been something that I've embraced over the last, I would say, 20, 25 years. So I really wasn't authentically living like I was dying. I was choosing to live with AIDS, not die from it. I was choosing to live with Parkinson's, not see it as a death sentence. Well, today I want to talk to you about the changes of the past week as two massive heart attacks, a third mild heart attack on August 24th dramatically shifted that for me. And that second, when that second heart attack hit, they had me on 20 micrograms per minute of nitroglycerin, and then they upped it to 40 micrograms, and nothing seemed to be working. My heart felt like it was going to friggin' explode out of my chest. And my fiance was no longer able to hold back the tears, and ran into the other room to call my parents, as I'd asked him to do, and let them know that I might very well not make it, and that I love them. And then I took his hand and held his hand and told him how much I loved him and appreciated him. And that for me was the moment when you start living like you're dying. When I was saying to myself that I was sorry for all of the things I hadn't forgiven myself for, that forgive those that I hadn't taken the time to forgive, to send out love in some way to all of you and so many other people in my life, knowing that I wasn't going to get a chance to say goodbye. And and as you know, fortunately, the courageous cardiovascular surgeons got in there and they said, we're not going to go in through the groin, we're going to go in through your hand, we're going to get to that heart, and we're going to get these new kinds of stents in there, and they saved my life. And so even in the hours that passed, as that verse said, craziness started to wear off. I really redoubled that commitment to live my life like I was dying. And that was a major mind shift for me, because I realized that that even at my worst, this really became evident yesterday, that even feeling weak and run down, even tiring out very fast, at my worst today, I feel better than I did at my best for the last year. And I'll tell you, I had myself pretty convinced that over the last year that I felt pretty good. It was pretty good compared to, the alternative for a guy who's been living for 33 years with full-blown AIDS. I felt pretty good compared to lots of other people I know with Parkinson's. But right now that oxygen is actually getting to my brain, that oxygen is actually getting to my heart's actually beginning to pump at about 50% of what it should be doing. It'll be at 100% when we get rid of or near 100% when we get rid of the other blockages on the other side. I'm starting to actually finally have my life back. And so for me, this concept, it was real clear to me that today's curriculum had to be shifted. This had to be about living like you were dying. And so that meant a lot of changes for me personally. That meant that I wasn't going to push myself anymore. That meant that I was going to learn to live more joyfully in the moment, not just more fully in the moment. Fully in the moment. We're living fully in the moment when we realize I've got to get this done and this done and this done, and this is what I could do right now to do it. We're living joyfully in the moment when we say, these are my goals. This is what I'd like to do. This is what I can do to get those goals accomplished. But no matter what, this moment is going to be filled with joy. So when the phone calls and it's a distraction, that moment is still filled with joy. It doesn't matter that it's taking me away from what I might have planned to do in that moment. When I see somebody posting something attacking Colin Kaepernick for having the integrity and the courage and conviction to refuse to salute a flag that's become a symbol of all that's wrong in this country, I don't let that steal my peace, and don't feel compelled to get caught up in somebody else's stupidity and bigotry and everything else. I'm choosing to live like I'm dying. I'm saying that, hey, things might be difficult with the scope of the medical bills that are just about to get dumped in my lap. Just 2 months after I walked away from my last company and my check from them. But you know what? I live joyfully in the moment, and I know that what's happening with this company is providing, and that's not going to be a problem. I can get crazy about the jackass who decided he's got to start mowing his lawn outside my window the moment I start doing this. But you know what? My joyfulness in the moment, my need to control those circumstances and to control those things no longer represents a problem. So today's mind shift is about living like you're dying. It's about bringing the fullness to the moment. There are people that I truly want to help in my business, whom I know have fucked up priorities, or otherwise they would be involved with me already. There are people in my business I know could be doing so much better than they did last month or the month before, but they're not taking daily action, so they're not getting anywhere. And yeah, I could still want the very best for those people, and I could still wish that I could, fix that, or that I could get this guy to go mow the other side of the lawn. I could still wish that I could change the landscape of politics, the financial situation for those that I love, and for some of the people I've taken care of. I could really wish that I still was able to continue paying the rent for our elderly friends who just created a total mess in their assisted care facility. And recognize that my choosing not to take my meds for about a week put me in the situation that led to these two massive heart attacks. But instead, I choose to live like I'm dying. I choose to say, you know what, this is all about living life to its fullest right here and now. And that's what I want for you guys. If your mindset is too mediocre to see the scope of a business opportunity in front of you, as long as you're joyfully living in the moment, doing what you need to be doing today, fantastic. Then I have nothing else to wish for you. If you're in a bad relationship and you don't have the desire to do anything to get out of that bad relationship, but you're joyfully doing everything that you want to do today yourself in spite of that relationship, then fantastic, good for you. But if you're not, then my encouragement for you is to make that decision. You're going to start living like you're dying. And so what I ask of you today, and then I have to keep these sessions short because I really do get tired. And what I ask for you today is, very few of you have ever bothered, have given a shit enough to go to the blog, even though I've asked a dozen times. You don't bother going to the blog, you don't bother reading the blog posts, and you certainly don't bother commenting on the blogs. And that's disrespectful, and it's you're letting me know that I'm wasting my time on this particular group of people because you don't care enough to comment. But today I beg you to take the time to read that blog post, because I don't want you to miss any of the subtle nuances. I don't want you to miss the details of Larry Hogan's story. I don't want you to miss even the opportunity to listen to what's his name's song. God, I can't think of his name. The baseball player's son singing "Live Like You Were Dying," and I don't want you to miss the opportunity to replay and hear this. Think about the things that you would change in your life if you knew that you weren't going to be here next month. What would you do today if time and fear and worrying about what anybody else said or did wasn't going to be an issue? How would you live your life more fully? For some of you, that might mean that you say, you know what, I wanted to do this business and I don't give a shit if it succeeds or fails, but it's something I've got to try. I've got to be able to prove to myself that this is a great idea, and you jump in. For some of you, it means planning to go on that family holiday that you've been putting off. We're taking that time to just hang out one night with the kids, or with your husband or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, and say, you know what, I just wanted a date night, and let's do that now. Because I can tell you that one of the greatest points of peace for me was that our practice, Craig's and my practice, has been that we never let the sun set on our anger. So we don't go to bed even a little bit pissed off at one another. A couple times that meant we just didn't go to bed. It meant we stayed up angry all night. We didn't even necessarily talk about it. He stayed at his desk, I stayed at mine, and then when we finally were at the point where we were like, God, I really want to go to bed, it just forced us to sit down and say, okay, let's talk about this. But more importantly, that every single day we communicate our appreciation for one another, our love for one another. We say thank you for little things like thank you for making dinner, thank you for cleaning up the dishes, thank you for putting those groceries away or for picking up the groceries. Thanks for going to the store for me. We don't let any opportunity to show gratitude for one another to pass us by. And we do that because I know, having buried 4 partners, that you don't get the guarantee for tomorrow. And so I try to extend that to my relationships with all of you. And when you guys do something great, I don't wait until the end of the month to tell you, or until we do a newsletter, or until it's convenient. I try to let you know in the moment, hey, I saw that. That's fantastic. Because I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow. And that's okay. You know, so I'll bring you 100% of what I've got. I'll deliver my legacy today, because tomorrow that other side of my heart might give up. And if I've given you 100%, then you've got all the tools you need to reach your dreams the way that I've reached my dreams time and time and time again these past 37 years. You know, and so I can be at peace when the time comes for my final sunset. I can say, right on, you know, you've given 100%, and nobody's going to begrudge you holding back, for better or for worse. There's probably some people who wish that I held back once in a while. But this is the idea behind today's mind shift. It can be one of the most powerful things in your life, and I know it will be, because I know the kind of people that you are. So, you know, kind of take the idea, and you know, and what I love about this is that you're going to have 2 weeks, or maybe probably 4 weeks, to really put this into practice. And we won't talk about it for 4 weeks. But 4 weeks from now, we know I'm going back in for the more risky of the surgeries, for them to do the stents on the other side where there's a 72% blockage. And even though the other one was 100% blockage, it was a known entity. This 72% blockage, it's a lesion. We don't know what it is. We don't know how easy it's going to be to get at. And so now the challenge is you've got, we'll call it a month, to start living like you were dying. You know, to build your business like you're not going to get another chance to build your business. I certainly will be. Because if something ever happened to me, I want to know that I've given 150% to make sure that Craig has an income to rely on while he's going to school. You know, I want to make sure that the people that I have relationships with are empowered with all of the tools and all of the ideas that I could possibly share with them. It's the reason why I got my ass out of bed at 10 o'clock this morning and said, I'm doing my team focus, because I don't feel that bad. You know, so let me just, you know, run a little water through my hair and put on a clean shirt and sit there and share just a few ideas with people. It's all right if I get tired. You know, if I get tired, I can stop. It's the reason why I made a decision that it didn't matter how much of an inconvenience it was to have to get the nutrients that I want in my house. That I, you know, often said, okay, well, next month when we're down in that direction, we're in Carlisle, I'll pick up that. Next time we're down in Baltimore, I'll pick up that. Instead, every day, you know, this next week, when I'm able to travel a little bit in a car, you know, I'll go pick up the stuff that I need, because my cardiovascular fitness is important enough to want that, and I'm not willing to pay ridiculous MLM prices for it. So I encourage you guys to really think about this, to take time to read the blog today. I would love it if you know, a handful of you guys cared enough about the work that I put into the blog to bother commenting once or twice a week. But even if you don't, today do it. And you could do as little as just commenting and saying, I hear ya, I saw it, you know, or this is stupid, whatever, you know, be real. But this, for me, is a message I felt like I had to get out there, to live like you're dying. So Katrina and Jennifer would love to hear some of your input on this, and I'll unblock or open up your microphones. I'm fading very fast.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
First, it's Tim McGraw, Live Like You Were Dying. This song was written for Tug, which absolutely destroyed me, because it's like, I grew up watching Tug McGraw, you gotta be kidding me. So, yeah. With Live Like You're Dying, one of my favorite stories from Les Brown is a story that he tells from another speaker, talking about how the graveyard is the richest place in the world, because that's where inventions that have never been made are buried. That's where songs that were never sung are buried. where books that were never written are buried because all these people died with their dreams inside of them. That's one of the things that really kicked my butt into writing my book, because it's like, I don't want to die with all of this in me. If I help just one person, then yeah, dude, I got this, you know? And just getting the feedback from everyone saying, oh my gosh, you have no idea, you said the things that I've been thinking but didn't want to say to myself. And it's like, oh, thank God, you know, it wasn't in vain. You know, that kind of thing. It was like, yes, I did it. It's awesome. But yeah, you know, I know my brother, God bless his heart, he's taken on a different stance as well. Well, I say recently, it's been 3-4 years now. He got bit by a tick, didn't think anything of it, started developing some symptoms, went into the hospital because he was feeling really crummy, wound up taking a stroke in the hospital in the ER. They get him in, they're checking him out. Not only does he have Lyme disease, but he has a stroke. Well, the reason he took a stroke is because he has 2 faulty valves in his heart. So he now walks around with a tattoo of a tick on the bite site to start with, and he has a zipper on his heart with a cow on one side and a pig on the other, because those are the 2 valves that they implanted into him. And that's right next to his Superman tattoo because, yeah, Superman. And he said, he's like, dude, I was scared. And this is a cat, his 20s were a very rough time for anyone dealing with him. It's like, you can't keep living like this, man. You keep putting yourself in the bottom of a whiskey bottle, you're going to stay there one day because no one's going to be able to pull you out. And this was one of those moments of, okay, yeah, I kind of have to grow up. I kind of have to, you know, look at my past and realize I can't keep throwing life away. And that's what he was doing. He was living a life that he didn't feel he was worth. And now he's got the whole package, you know, married, and, you know, he's got the house with the white picket fence even, and it's awesome seeing the progression. And it's sad that it had to be, you know, this horrible near-death experience. But yeah, it's pretty cool to sit back and watch him, you know, finally getting it all done.
And what's that mean to you in terms of living like your life?
For me, it's, you know, realizing I got a whole lot more to say, and I'm gonna get cracking. And I just found out NaNoWriMo does nonfiction too. Apparently, there's a whole subculture of NaNoWriMo rebels who do nonfiction. So I'm like, yes, I think it's gonna be, you know, the glorious train wreck thoughts of a mom kind of thing. Which there was a total train wreck moment during the last session. But yeah, you know, just getting it out there, you know, helping other people realize you're not the only one. When you're trying to get on a conference call and your son decides that's when all his dinosaurs need to take a bath in the toilet, yes, you are not alone there. So yeah, I've already started outlining that. I've got 3 other books that I'm outlining and working on a fiction, which I keep getting ahead, like I keep getting ahead of myself, and then I keep bogging it down, and I realize you don't need 1,000 pages describing the door that you enter into a restaurant for. So it's, you know, got to cut it back a little bit.
Right on. Katrina, share a little bit with us about your thoughts on this topic. I'm sure it's something that that's crossed your mind, being on a spiritual path that includes Buddhism and dealing with recognition of death and meditating on death along the way.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
So, well, what comes up for me is gratitude, and you know, the whole topic really puts me in the moment and into a place of feeling gratitude for everything, including the stuff I don't like, including the stuff I don't prefer. including the limitation that I'm feeling in whatever area of my life I'm feeling it. I think pretty much that's what this idea of living as if it's my last day or as if I'm dying is about for me, is getting really present with the moment. And once I do that, or as I do that, then I gain more clarity about what am I to do today to make a contribution. And my contribution may not be, um, today it may or may not be building my business. It may be helping a friend. It may be um, just being available to be of service in whatever way I'm called upon today. And I love it when that can be in the process of building my business as well, and shifting to allow greater success in all areas of my life to start coming to me in different and wonderful ways. So so I think gratitude is what really is most deeply brought to the fore for me on this topic.
Right on. And you know what? I think it's very possible that even at the times when we don't think that what we're doing is serving our agenda. Maybe that's building your business. Maybe that's deepening your relationship. Maybe that's getting out of a particular house or geographical area into a new geographical area or situation or job or whatever. Um, but I think that you're absolutely right, Katrina. Is that bringing gratitude to the moment always does have the effect of advancing those things. At least in my experience and the experience I've seen with people with whom I've been involved, it's that time when you're helping a friend who's just in need, who might have nothing to do with your business. You're helping your business. Because number one, you're making yourself a better person. Number two, you're making this world a better place. And in that better place, better outcomes will arise. And so for me, I really had to remind myself of some of that this past week and say, I'm grateful for the fact that I have to go lie down after doing these sessions. I'm grateful for that for a couple reasons. One, because it gives my body the time and space it needs to heal. Two, because while I'm laying there, I still have thoughts that arise, and sometimes some of those thoughts have been phenomenal. Others have been, less phenomenal by far, but they've all been thoughts that have contributed to that healing journey. Sometimes the thoughts have been things that I've just, sat there and said, aha, I haven't written my gratitude post for the day. And so I just pick up the phone and I start typing, which, by the way, I haven't done today. I start typing in those things, those 4 or 5 items for which I'm grateful that day. So it all contributes, because I don't know who's going to then see the post and say, hey, I like this guy. Let me get to know him. Just before we came on, somebody on Instagram that I have no idea who they are decided that they were going to start a conversation with me and started asking me about things, 1980s concepts like sales funnels, and what are you doing online and offline marketing, and so we started to have the conversation. I said, I don't get caught up in all of that 1980s, 1990s jargon. I build relationships. I cultivate relationships every day, and I make sure that every day I talk to 5 people, because I know that at the end of the day, that no matter what excuses, no matter what bullshit, no matter what drama, no matter what obstacles that a person thinks they're dealing with, no matter what excuse for not having done anything to grow their business, that when a person takes a serious look, they realize there was never anything in any day that should have prevented them from talking to 5 people. They just made a decision not to. It wasn't a priority for them, and there should be no judgment in that. If building your business isn't your priority today, it's not your priority today. Don't bitch that you don't get results tomorrow, because you get exactly what you deserve tomorrow. But there's never a reason that you can't do an approach that's talking to 5 people a day. And I love that, because it allows life to continue to happen. these people who tell you make a list and call 100 people, and you know, you always have to have 20 or 30 people going in your funnel, and all of this stuff. I mean, God, that's a full. Now you just exchanged your full-time job for a full-time job. So where's the freedom in that? Freedom comes when you say, hey, all I got to do is talk to 5 people and be married to the process and divorced from the outcome, and it'll take care of itself. And it always does. And that's how I got 2 enrollments while I was in the hospital. Yes, one of them was my future brother-in-law. Those were seeds that I planted before, and I promise you, I was in no mental condition to be recruiting him from the hospital. But it was in that moment that he realized, hey, you know what? John Michael's business grew today, and he just had heart surgery. My business didn't do shit because I'm sitting here at the hospital with my brother to support John Michael. And in that moment, he decided that he was placing his order because he'd been hanging around the flagpole as a pre-enrollee and said, you know what, this is the smartest business move I could ever make. And so it's that trusting in the process, being divorced from the outcome, that you know, eventually the right people get attracted into our lives, whether it's a business, a relationship, you know, our living situations, our spiritual situations, whatever, our health situations. You know, I'm married to the process of staying healthy. I'm divorced from the outcome. So heart attacks happen, and I just say, what was there in this experience for me to learn from? What is being reflected in my life that's an opportunity for me to grow? You know, and in the moment, I thought that it was the end of the line, and it was time for me to say my goodbyes. And I wouldn't change that experience at all. It was heartbreaking for me to watch the man that I love more than anything on this earth crying, sobbing, because he thought he was saying goodbye. I never want to put him through that again. But I know that's outside of my control. But I know one thing, I could make sure that just as I have for these first 8 years, that whatever time we have left, that every day he knows that I adore him, that I appreciate him, that I'm proud of him, you know, that I'm there for him when he needs me, whether it's good things or bad. And that's what I want for you guys. I don't care whether you use this in your business, because in the big picture, that's the least important. I care that you use this in your relationships with one another. So I'm going to leave it at that. I thank both of you for being here today, for sharing with us today, and for you know, allowing me this time to kind of impose my agenda on this curriculum, because I think it's something that could really powerfully impact all of our lives. And I encourage those who are watching this on the rebroadcast to, you know, stop whatever bullshit excuse is keeping you from commenting on the blog. You're not that fucking busy. You're not that fucking important. You know, post a comment on the blog, and you never know whose life you might change. Somebody might read that comment, and it might be that moment, that aha moment for them, that moment that they finally feel loved, that moment that they don't feel all alone. So stop being so friggin' self-absorbed and take a moment to comment. It's the least you can do when not a single one of you are paying for this entire system. It's the very least that you can do to sort of pay it forward. And I don't want to be a tough guy like that. But once in a while, it's got to be. So I love and appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm here for you in any way that I possibly can. That's part for me of living as if I'm dying, is to be there for the people that matter most to me. And each one of you fits in that category, or you would not be here. So have a fantastic day, an incredible week. For those that are members of our team, remember there are still 24 hours left to make a difference. Get your 3 people that you want to partner with in place. And I'm hanging around. Even if I'm laying down, I could talk to somebody on the phone for you and explain to them why they should take action in the next 24 hours. If you're not on my team, just make sure that you get with the people who can support you. Surround yourself with the ones who can make it happen. And then if it's not happening for you, then have the courage to say, this isn't working for me. It's time to move on. And we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Stay in the moment. Be grateful for what you've got. And always remember the best is yet to come. Namaste.